Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to One Hub Racing. This is season number 15, sponsored by Next Level Racing, and we are at round number 7 at the Hockenheim ring for the German Grand Prix. We've seen it provide many action in the past, in previous seasons. I wonder if it's going to do the same tonight. Alex is not here tonight, but you're joined by me, Jess Games 95, and also we've got Sam in the commentary box tonight. How are you doing, Sam?
Hello, Jess, and obviously, like Jess has said, welcome to the stream. I'm doing pretty good, Jess, if I'm honest. I'm looking very much forward to this race tonight, obviously, at the Hockenheim ring, like you said. One of the best tracks, you could argue, in the hybrid era, especially recently in the last 2 seasons. And obviously, as well, in terms of league racing as well, it usually puts on a good show. So I'm looking very forward for tonight.
I'm looking forward to it tonight as well. It's had a brief hiatus in the mid-2010s, but it was being back on the calendar since then, and to be honest, I'm disappointed that it's not in the calendar pretty much for this year. Maybe if Britain gets cancelled, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But we'll start talking about last week's race, where it was pretty much a battle between Danny and Louis for the race win. And Danny did absolutely phenomenal, getting a few extra points, which means he closed the gap to Louis to 32 points. I mean, at the moment, Sam, it's looking like it's going to be Danny versus Louis for the title.
I think it's basically what was expected, really. These two have really been hammer and tongs with each other all season, and obviously what happened at Austria has probably put a bit more spice into this rivalry as well. Obviously, Louis has been a dominant champion here at One Hub last season after winning it, I believe, in Japan. Obviously, a few more rounds left to go, and then he won the title in the prestige tier. But however, in the Pinnacle tier, which is now the top tier, of course, it's been him and Danny most of the season. But I just want to mention something of how impressed I've really been with Toxic Tomato behind as well. Although he's probably miles behind the 2 leaders compared to him, he's done a really good job this season, the Welshman in 3rd. But back to, like you said, the battle between Louis and Danny, it was expected, but it's been a very good battle so far, and I think the Austria race as well really spiced it up further, and I think hopefully tonight we could see more of that spicy battle in between the two of them, because we obviously know these two have been feuding all season pretty much from the start, and it's always been about these two, which was better, the pad driver of Louis, who's known as, like, pad OP, if anyone doesn't know, and obviously Danny, who obviously who has got into the pro draft, and which is just interesting to see, isn't it? So this battle's probably going to go right down to the line, in my opinion.
Yeah, Toxic Tomato didn't have a good result last time. He only got 2 points, and even his teammate beat him because there was a team transfers that happened a few weeks ago, and Ollie got put in the McLaren to place Toxic Tomato, who's now in the Red Bull. But Ollie was a little bit peeved of himself, really, to be honest, for not being in Red Bull. But do you think that's helped his confidence in for the rest of the season, knowing that he has beaten someone that that actually replaced him in the Red Bull?
Well, I suppose, really. I know that him and Midnight, obviously both from Jersey, and some people may know him as certain names like the Jersey Boys, for example.
Yes.
Maybe no one calls him that, but maybe that sort of relationship there maybe helped Ollie a little bit, and I think, obviously, it may be a little bit of a different thing with him now moving to McLaren, and he may have a little bit of adjusting moving to a new teammate, which is Larkin, obviously, who's lower in the championship, has only got 1 point, I believe, this season so far. So he's purely outscoring his teammate. But I think, like you said, him moving teams and technically being demoted from Red Bull to McLaren, that could affect his confidence a little bit by hearing that news, obviously. But I mean, I've got to hand it to Toxic Tomato. He's just been on form all season, and obviously that win in Austria may have been the deciding choice for Red Bull for why they've picked him back up to go up to the Red Bull team, of course.
Yeah, I hope he gets back on true form this race, because obviously last in season 13, I remember when I commentated, there was pretty much a three-way battle between Rafa, Blizzard was there as well, and obviously Jacotex, who Jacotex doesn't race anymore, but Rafa is one of the home favourites going into this race, I must say. He even said last season that he was really happy with his race pace, but he wasn't there in quali, and he even said the battle with Blizzard and Jay was one of the best battles he had in one hub, and obviously he's back here tonight. I hope, Sam, we get to see something similar in Pinnacle with Rafa, maybe. Maybe it is track to shine.
Well, yeah, you say about home favourites here, and obviously you've got to take a look at Rafa. Obviously, Rafa being very quick, and obviously he's got that chance to win. But I know that obviously this driver that I'm just about to speak about, he's usually in the midfield. I've seen him quite far in the midfield, but he's still pretty decent in 7th place in the standards, and that's Lakitu. It says his nationality is German here. It probably is. Is it correct or not? I don't know. But if that is the case, then obviously Lakitu
yes,
here obviously it'll be a home favourite as well. Obviously Rafa, obviously like you said, the season 13 race he had absolutely amazing. But Lakitu as well, he's a home favourite here as well. So we'll have to just wait and see what happens.
Yep, as the drivers are getting ready to go into the session, and a few things to point out, obviously, from last week. We only had one penalty from the stewards last week, which we'll go through in a minute, but a few corners to watch out for. Turn 1, we've seen cars often come together on the opening lap. We've seen that in pretty much almost every single tier tonight. Obviously, turn 6 as well, going into the hairpin. We'll see the most overtakes made, especially due to the management of ERS as well. And obviously, turn 12 requires a bit of bravery and commitment there as well. Turn 12 was where we saw the famous incident from a few seasons ago in real life, but not going to go too much into that. But yeah, as I said, only one driver was called into the stewards last week. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, Sam?
Well, it was T1000 Zach. I just need to get over to that right now. Excuse me, but it was T1000 Zach. He's got a quali ban. I believe he's here tonight. Yes, he is. So he shouldn't come out of the pits, which is pretty disappointing for the Ferrari driver. But the reason why he's got this quali ban is because he's missed his braking point into the hairpin, and he hit 2 cars in the process, causing damage to one of them and spinning the other one around. So in some sense, it's pretty clear he's got a qualifying ban, and obviously he didn't even finish the race either. So that obviously put it more in the fire because he couldn't exactly get second penalty really, so it's pretty disappointing for Zach. And obviously he's got to sit in the pits now for these 18 minutes and maybe think about what he's going to do in the race. He's got to think about all that race strategy now. And also, let's not forget, he's also got a 5-second penalty as well because he readied up, so that'll obviously come into effect at the end of this race as well. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how Zach does tonight.
Yeah, Ferraris, I've noticed in, obviously, one hub history, hasn't done very well in terms of quali bans, because I know in a few other tiers they've been getting quali bans as well. So Ferrari need to pick up their pace a little bit. So I'm just going to see who's going on board for a lap right now. And there's one other thing to point out, the virtual safety car. There was an incident in the position tier last week, which caused a little bit of chaos between Carsbury and a few cars. So I'm just reading what's in the stewards report actually. All drivers should continue under yellow flag conditions and not exceed a positive delta by more than 0 seconds. Once you get the in-game green flags, then you go to racing speed. You don't go before that. Because if you're racing on track and you go below 0 in the red delta, then if people see that or if we see that, it can go to the stewards and they will get a 5-second penalty for that. And if they don't provide any footage for that, penalty. So I'm guessing the stewards are getting a little bit strict about that. We've seen a few instances for VSC about in here, but not as much as Precision. So, but, you know, at least the stewards are being hard but fair. I think Danny's on an outlet. Actually, no, he's going through the hairpin. We'll go on board with Danny in a minute, but where will we see potential for moves tonight, Sam?
Well, like you say, obviously the 3 action zones, you've got turn 1. Maybe turn 1 is probably not the biggest action zone in terms of overtakes, but obviously you see a lot of drivers make mistakes there, and obviously, like you said, if you do go side by side, it's likely that one of you is going to get punted off or something, so you've got to really watch out there. I think turn 2 is an interesting one as well. It's that DRS straight. If you're the car behind, you get good momentum out the exit the corner. Obviously, you've got that DRS help to pull you along. You can actually go and send it into that second corner, but then again, you've got to think in the sort of mind, like, is it really worth it going for the move in that turn 2 anyway? Because you've got another DRS straight after, so if you do make an overtake, like, you're going to lose a position anyway on the next straight. So what's the point? But also, you've got other corners, such as turn 8 into the Mercedes-Benz section there, and I think there's also the stadium section as well, which provides good racing, and drivers could go side by side through there.
Okay, so let's go on board with Danny then, and he goes past into turn 5. He's getting a little bit of toe from Toxic Tomato there, so I don't think Toxic Tomato wanted to give the toe to him, but there he's got anyway, as he goes through one of the action zones, as I said, the hairpin. And you've got to try and avoid the outside curbing on exit here. There's very little traction. It will leave you open to attack going into turn 7 and into turn 8. Another overtaking opportunity on this circuit. And then you've got to go towards turn 10 coming up now. As Rapper set the fastest lap so far, 1:10.4. Wow, that's pretty quick so far. As we go through turn 11 and 12, where Sebastian Vettel almost binned it earlier on, and then goes through to the tight 13, 14. You've got to be on your toes here, because some of these curves could be a little bit unsettling here. As Danny comes across the line now, he's looking pretty quick at the moment. It's a 1:10.3 from Danny, which puts him about 1/10 quicker than Rafa. Louis is in the pits right now, so he's not going to set a lap time at the moment, but that's looking good for the championship rival at the moment, Sam.
Yeah, and I'm going to just mention something now. A lot of the drivers are on soft tyres, and I'm just wondering right now if we're going to have some rain in the race, and particularly at the start, because usually the tyre wear on this track is really, really high, and obviously with that, a lot of drivers don't favour the soft tyres. Some do, but a lot of people like to start on the mediums or sometimes even the hards, and because so many drivers are on the softs, I do actually wonder if we've got some rain on its way for the start of the race.
Well, if you watched the podium tier earlier, the race I was in, it was wet quali, wet race. Typical German weather there, but it's looking quite sunny at the moment. It may be a wet start, and it could go to a dry race. We'll have to wait and see at the moment, as Toxic Tomato in the Red Bull is about to... he's one of the ones on the medium tyres at the moment, so he's going to go and finish his lap as well. As it's not too bad on the mediums, I must say. Very impressed. 1:11.8 for him. That puts him in P9. He only won on, and he's spun and almost got collected by one of the Alphas. I think that was... I don't know. Thomas who... Yeah, Thomas made his debut last week or in Singapore. I can't remember what week he made his debut anyway. But, yeah. So, basically, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with Thomas. Hopefully he hasn't lost a bit of time from that. Fingers crossed. Josh is another person to cross the line as well. Just a reminder as well, these guys have got to make 2 stops in the race, even if it's dry conditions, wet conditions, or changing conditions as well. Maybe some people have got plenty of soft tyres to use in the race, asking your question. So maybe they just want to get their soft runs out the way in quali and just know that if they got enough for the... If it's not wet in the race, then they know they've got enough softs to last for both quali and the race, because some of them may be going for a softer option here around Hockenheim, because obviously it's soft. Usually, if I was racing in the dry, I would probably go soft, medium, but we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, obviously strategies, like you said, obviously the 2-stop rule, of course, completely took a blind eye to that, so I apologize.
That is absolutely fine.
But obviously the 2-stop rule, I still wouldn't favour the softs really, because although I would use the softs probably in the race, I wouldn't have favoured them as much as many drivers did. I would have actually done a lap like a bunch of people have done on the hards or the mediums, but everyone seems to be favouring the softs here, which I think is quite interesting really to see, because I would expect to be some people to try and do the mediums, because I know that the softs wear out quite a bit very quickly, and obviously mediums, if you do about 2 or 3 laps like I guess Toxic Tomato has done, you could really probably match times with the soft tyres, as you are able to go a little bit quicker, because the heat have now gotten into the medium tyres, and obviously like I said, the soft tyres, they don't go a long way.
Yeah, definitely. One of the questions that was put forward in the pre-race interviews, which none of the Pinnacle drivers responded, which is a bit of a shame, but we'll go through one of the questions anyway. How much an advantage is it that the DRS is disabled in the last sector compared to when you start a new lap? When I responded to this, I feel like DRS doesn't put you on the level playing field to the rest of them, because some of the guys who are up front, they will be defending for their lives, and it'll be hard for them to defend, especially at the hairpin, whereas ones on the attack behind, they're going to get plenty of slipstream due to DRS, and they're going to possibly get the move done. What would you do in that situation? Is it an advantage that DRS is disabled, do you think?
I think it's an advantage in a track like this where obviously like you got two straights basically in a row there, and obviously you could use slipstream quite reliably. However, with DRS, it does promote overtaking a lot more, in my opinion. And obviously, if it was enabled, obviously it's much easier to overtake. However, like you're seeing like in any race in this game, really, you've got trains, and that's been the main problem with this game. You get a lot of trains in the game, and then that makes a lot of the racing very, very saturated and, overhyped sort of thing, because they're always in trains and no one's really making the moves. And, well, they're not even able to make the moves because of what's happening, of course. And I think that really does, sour the racing quite a bit. So I think without DRS and relying on slipstream, I think also it relies a lot more on momentum and driver skill as well. And I think the DRS there only really helps the driver who is at the front of that train, just behind the guy obviously who doesn't have DRS. So in my opinion, with it disabled, I think it will obviously really show how quick a driver is and really show a driver skill.
Yeah, definitely. I've asked the drivers to give me a weather report, so hopefully we'll have a clear indication as to what the weather's going to be, so we're keeping our fingers crossed for that one. So there were a few teams that got called by to the team's press conference, and to be honest, the head of teams gave them a very hard time as well. And obviously, I won't talk about Williams due to the fact that it was mainly about the podium tier. But I think one of them was mainly happened to the VSC last week, which obviously we talked about that as well. And that was why I think the Delta, I think the changes in the stewards, that's how it got come about. And wow, Rafa 110.2, he's just beaten. I think we've got Thomas has beat him as well, of 110.3. This is, we could see, I think, Sam, times going into the 109s.
It could be, and maybe that does indicate that rain isn't on its way, because I look at these times right now, everyone in the 1 minute 10s, it's nice and close, which I love to see, but the times right now, they don't look like as fast as you could see usually from people in Germany. You do really see people into the 1 minute 9s. I wonder if obviously a wet setup, but I'm kind of doubting that too, because I felt like drivers are now starting to get their fists out a little bit more. I just want to point out, I'm not sure if Zach is allowed to do this, but I believe he came out. To help Lakitu. I'm not sure if he did come out to help Lakitu, but it looked like he gave him some sort of extra run. He did come out onto the track, and he was actually on for that, but he did go into the pits. But I am wondering if he did do something like slipstream with Lakitu. But if I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think that's allowed, and I think that is quite a big bargain if that was the case. And I think that could actually get Lakitu or Zach in even more trouble, really, for doing that, because that could be also treated as a distraction. Anyway, we do have Toxic Tomato come around the final corner. Almost lost the car there, but it's a 10.5, and he moves himself up to 6th place. I just wanted to mention that at the end there.
And he's just invalidated his next lap, so he's got to be quick there, but we'll have to wait and see that. But asking your question, because a similar incident might have happened a few races ago in one of the other tiers, but you are allowed to, if you do have a quali badge, you're allowed to do one installation lap, so you can get your setup pretty much nailed and installed, and then go into the pits. And that's it. If you do any more laps, then you will be penalised and possibly get a quali ban for the next race, or even a race ban. So I do believe, as far as I'm aware, Sam, did Zach only do one installation lap, or did he did he do another one as well to help his teammate? I'm not sure.
It said he was on a flying lap. It didn't say he was on an out lap, so I assume that he has done like 2 laps there.
So he's gonna get in trouble then.
Could be in trouble.
Yeah. So you're only allowed to do one. So I think Zach could be the one that gets in trouble more than Lakitu. But I wonder if Lakitu knows about the qualifying ban as well. Oh, Ollie, what happened there?
Well, Ollie's just invalidated this lap, but for a moment, he was quite late. He was going into the corner. He didn't see Scott Bugner. Sorry if I really messed that name up, but I didn't. He didn't see where he was coming, and he didn't hit him or anything. But he basically went into the corner, not knowing he was there, and he pulled out like last second. It was like an immediate reaction, and he was quite late out with that Ollie. And I think it was fine. I don't think it's hurt Scott's lap, but obviously it looked quite late, in my opinion. But we'll have to just wait out and see. Obviously, of course.
Yeah, I think that looked awful. I don't think he has enough time to actually go into the pit. So hopefully, I'm not entirely. Actually, no, screw that. I think he will make it, but that's going to hinder him quite a lot. But the gaps are pretty much close between almost everyone. White Fountain down in last place. Hopefully he could get a lap together as well. Everybody now has fitted the soft compounded tyres on now. No one's on the mediums or the hards, but obviously the top 10 now have to start on the tyre that they set their fastest lap on. And obviously White Fountain set his best lap time on the hard, everyone on the soft. So think Sam, Ollie's had enough.
I think he's binned it at turn 1, you know.
Yes, he did.
Coming out. No, it's not midnight coming out. Hopefully it'll stay there for enough to me to see it. Yep, he's definitely binned it in that corner. I think he was going for another lap because he did invalidate his last lap, like I said. So I assume he was going for another lap, and I think he's just made a mistake at the first corner, which I did mention at the start of the stream as well, that corner could be very dangerous for drivers, and obviously side-by-side is even worse, but obviously not going side-by-side. We see a little bit of a toe here. From Midnight, to Midnight from Toxic Tomato here. Obviously, these two now teammates, obviously, since Ollie Favel's been dropped to McLaren, speaking of Ollie, of course, at the time, but of course, Midnight in 9th place right now, but he's got a bit of a toe there from his teammate, which is nice to see, as he now comes into the stadium section. Tricky bunch of corners he's on, needs to not lose too much momentum through here, just lift, no need to really brake. And now into this corner, gear 3, go in gear 2 if you want. Short shifting up to gear 4 though, and now with 2 corners left to go, it should be just gliding around the corners really. Nothing too bad, and now as he comes across to the back straight, be careful not to invalidate, and he's not done that, and he's got 3rd place, you know, so that is a very good result.
Oh my goodness, I've just noticed, he's exactly 1 second slower than Louis.
1/10 slower than Louis.
1/10. 1/10. What are you on about? 1/10. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Sorry. I had.
1 second would have been a bit.
Yeah, we both had late notice about commentating. Okay, so you know that's my excuse. Only joking. But yeah, 1/10. That's insane. And Louis just gone fast as well. So we were talking about it as well, and he's going to set his final lap as well. And Danny all the way down in 6th. Now he was the first person to set a lap. So I think he's going to be a bit...
Oh, he's invalidated.
Oh, no.
No, he's invalidated his lap.
Turn 1.
He's not going to get round. Yeah, he's not going to get round again. That's his qualifying over, you know. And you got his teammate as well, Paris Burrell, sitting there waiting for the toe, obviously, of course. He's not going to get that. There's no point for it anymore. Danny is going to have to start 7th or even lower, perhaps. So that's going to be very interesting to see, I'm not going to lie. Speaking of getting lower, we've got Toxic Tomato, 1/10 up. Coming through the last 2 corners now, and you can make up a lot of time through sector 3, let's not forget. Goes quite deep into the corner, and there we go. He's beat Danny out as well, so Louis in a very, very comfortable position here. Where is he right now on track? He is coming through turn 2 right now. But yeah, Louis at the moment is comfortable in the lead of this, and Rafa's not been able to improve because he did invalidate his lap. Where has Thomas gone?
Thomas Cole!
He's got pole currently at the moment. Louis has still got this lap to go, though. Let's not forget. We've also got... sorry, we haven't got Danny. I was about to say we've got Danny, but we're not. We've got Westy on the lap. Where is he on the lap? I think he's coming towards the end of it.
Yeah, it is.
So it's good. What times are going to be slightly up, but like I said, sector 3 can be very crucial for time-wise, and he has gone... he stayed P11 there, so no real improvement. So it looks like Louis has got a great advantage over Danny, but he still hasn't got that pole position just yet. Looking good though, going through sector 2. 1/10 up, almost 2/10 up in fact, so we could see a 1:09 here, Jess, like you said. We've got Lakitu in the way, but Lakitu's not going to bother. He's going to come into the pits anyway. Going quite wide through the corner, and we're going to get a 1:10.065. What a lap! And that is why he is known as Pad OP, and obviously he's dethroning Thomas here, because obviously Thomas is also on the pad there. And obviously Louis proving why he is the king of pad, or, Pad OP, or whatever you want to call him. He's kind of just proved it there with Thomas, and Thomas gave it his best go and almost had pole position, but we got three pad drivers in a row, 1, 2, and 3 here, so obviously a very consistent trend there, as it looks like for this track then. So, like I said with Danny, that's a huge shot to see Danny down in 8th, and obviously invalidating in the first corner. He would not like to be down in that position, because although this track does promote overtaking, you've got to think, especially into that first corner with Danny, being in the midfield is probably the worst place to be, especially when you're a title contender, because the pressure is even more further on you. And obviously with drivers all around you, that first corner is going to be very difficult going through there, because if a driver does make a mistake, it could cause like a long chain of events. And I don't think we're seeing that really in real life. I can't really get an advantage, but an example. But all I know is that in the midfield, it's not the place you want to be around the track like Germany, especially through sector 3.
Definitely not. So looking through your results there, we went through the top 3. We got Josh in 4th, Midnight 5th, Ski Van in at 6th. Then we got Tomato, Danny, Lakita, then Paris. Then we got Wesley Ashbest, Scott Buckner, Harry, Larkin, Ollie, and I couldn't see what was on the rest of my screen. But wow, I've got to say, I'm impressed with Thomas, I think, as well, because he hasn't scored any points all season. He's finished every single race, but he hasn't been in the top 10. But I've seen in other leagues, he's been on great form, and again, he likes this track as well. I've seen him do well in this track in the past as well. So, he could be on for it, one of his best results of the season as well. Rafa up there in 3rd as well. Could we see a repeat of season 13? I don't even know, but, this is, I could see it's going to be, I can't call who I think is going to take some positions tonight. I think we're going to probably have a DRS train slipstream fest by the looks of things, and it's a dry race all round.
Yeah, and obviously something that even be more tasty. Obviously, we know how successful Williams are in One Hub. Obviously, we can't really relate that to real life at the moment. Obviously, unfortunate news today. However, in One Hub, they're absolutely smashing it in the Constructors' Championship as well. Louis and Rafa both 1st and 4th in the Drivers' Championship, but obviously they're 43 points clear now of Mercedes, and Mercedes will basically need a 1-2 and both Rafa and Louis to retire to be on equal points alone with Williams. So Williams have a lot of comfortability here, really going into this race.
Yeah, definitely. Louis on 119 points and his teammate Rafa on 53. That's just amazing. Louis almost seems to pick great teammates, so that's great to see. But yeah, we're just waiting for the drivers to ready up, and it looks like we are. It might be just me that we are having a kind of like a glitchy lobby at the moment, which is a typical Codemasters, but hopefully we'll get sorted shortly. But who is your money for the winner of this race?
Well, I'm telling you something now. White Fountain has readied up, just so you know. So I don't think it is a lobby like that. I think everyone's just behaved.
Oh, okay, good.
Well.
I got a bit confused. I got a bit confused, but I just got to go back to One Hub mode because I haven't commentated the race at all. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah, anyway, in terms of who I think could be on for a good race, I think obviously being his home race, I think Rafa's going to have a good race, and obviously got a good qualifying position as well. I would be able to see others. I think Thomas could do a little bit on that inside into the first corner if he gets a good start. And obviously Louis as well. Louis obviously needs a good start away, and obviously this is the perfect position for Louis, seeing Danny down in 8th, and Danny's got to make up a lot of ground, and these drivers are not just going to give Danny the positions, they're going to fight for the positions, knowing that obviously they've got a pro driver behind them. They want to have that sort of name that they're going to beat someone like Danny, because Danny is obviously, he's not a small figure, is he, in this tier, and obviously he's a big fighter fighting at the top with Louis, of course, and especially Rafa, interestingly. I feel like Rafa is going to be he's going to help Louis out a lot in these last rounds, and I think he should get past Thomas, and it'll be a 1-2 for Williams. So it could be very interesting. It just depends on who gets the best start, really, and if Danny can get a good start to get past Toxic Tomato. He is on the inside line, so he does have priority of that line there. Just needs a good start, really.
Yeah, definitely. And looking at Rafa's results, his best finish was in Austria, obviously, due to the instant winner, Danny and Louis. He got 15 points. So, that was his best result. And then he got 12 points in France and China as well. And then he's basically been in the points in every single race except Bahrain. So, maybe he's due for a good one today as well. And then looking at Danny, the fight is not over for Danny. The only bad race he had was Austria. That was the only one where he obviously had an incident. Apart from that, he's been in the top 2 every single race as well. That's just crazy. And it may get to a point where consistency is key, yes. And quickly, we'll just go through tyre strategy before we do that, as we've got everyone outside the top 10. They've chosen to go for the medium compounded tyres. So I think they're expecting to go for the long haul.
Well, yeah, and obviously before we start also, I need to mention that One Hub Racing is sponsored by Next Level Racing, of course, and they obviously do a bunch of products as well: racing cockpits, racing stands, flight simulators, motion platforms, even accessories. You can call a few. You can go follow them on Twitter at Next Level Racing, or you can go to their website at nextlevelracing.com. Now, with that, Jess, we need to get our hands warm, as we are going to get ready for some great One Hub action as the lights are now on, and I'll let you do the start.
Okay, and we are underway here in Germany. It looks like it's a pretty decent start from Louis going into turn 1. Rafa's trying to cover off Thomas in turn 1 as well. Let's see if everyone makes it through clearly. Don't forget, turn 1 is one of the action zones. Looks like everyone has got underway well. No major issues so far. Let's see if they could get through clearly through turn 3 and 4. Looks like they can so far. Louis already running away with it so far as well. The 2 Red Bulls are fighting side by side, going into the Parabolica. Skeven could take advantage of this as well. Midnight is right on the back of these 2. Let's see if they can get through the hairpin. It's going to be very, very close between these guys. It's going to allow all the other guys to pull away as well. Huge position change already at the start of the opening lap as well. Skeven's dropped down to 6. Can Toxic Tomato go and drive it in? I think he can. Toxic Tomato's up to 5th. Midnight dropped down to 7th place. That's not good. We got Larkin has dropped down to 17th place. Not a good start for him. Neither is White Fountain. Zach's now up into 16th place. A brilliant start as well. The top 3 remain unchanged at this stage though. But Danny not able to gain big at the start there.
Well, yeah, there was a lot of position changes in that midfield. And oh my word, Danny's into the pits, by the way. This could be a golden strategy. You got Rafa coming into the pits as well. I said about those soft tyres, a lot of drivers won't fare that. And Danny's one of them, so this could be a really good strategic battle here. And obviously we saw this in a bunch of tracks. We've seen this in China, we've seen this in France, we've seen people come off those soft tyres immediately, especially those in the midfield. And like you said, obviously at the start, the bottom half of the grid, the people outside the top 10, they all favoured the mediums there. And that could play in a big strategy, in my opinion, in Danny's chase for Louis. And I think right now he needs to catch up with Rafa. We've got Skeven and Midnight going side by side though into the corner. Midnight's been getting his hands dirty a little bit, getting very close to drivers so far. But as he comes into the corner, Skeven does defend well. And no position is changed right there.
Yeah, I wonder if Danny's made a good strategy call or not. But we'll have to wait until we get to the latter half of the Grand Prix. But obviously Danny's made those calls before and it's worked well for him. And so has Rafa as well. I think Rafa responded, maybe Danny has responded to Rafa because, it is a battle for the constructors. And yeah, Louis had to respond to that because he know that Danny and Rafa's gone in. So obviously, maybe Louis would have wanted to go in beforehand. But obviously, I'm guessing Louis and Rafa are in a party together, of course. Louis onto the medium compounded tyres. He goes then. No front wing change for him. A lot of people are going into the pits. A lot more than I thought it was going to be, actually. Josh, Toxic, Skivan, Scott, Lakitu. They are definitely responding to Rafa by the looks of things. They don't want Rafa to get a home advantage in this race by the looks of things, Sam.
Well, it could be close, and only three drivers are on the softs right now. So only three drivers are favoured for more than 2 laps of the softs, really. And that's Thomas, Midnight, and Paris right now, which I think could be quite interesting to see how they will come out compared to everyone else. We look at Louis. Louis come out ahead of Rafa there by over a second. I believe that's a margin roughly about right what we would have seen beforehand, but
Yeah.
I'm just wondering to see on the soft tyres. I want to see how they do, because obviously we saw Thomas set the fastest lap, but obviously no one else was able to set it better than him. We'll find out to see if he comes into the pit this lap. Right now it doesn't say he's coming into the pits, but there we go, he is coming into the pits. Midnight, is he going to do the same? Yes, he is. Paris is going to do the same as well, so no one favouring the soft tyres anymore. And Ash Best will lead the way then. So that's a brilliant stuff for Ash Best, I must say, but obviously half the grid has pitted. Speaking about pit stops, Paris have got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane as well.
Yes, I think Ash Best is probably quite happy at the moment being at the top for now on the medium compounder tyres, but let's see if he could stay there when he goes to his first stop. Obviously he's going to drop way down the order, because obviously the guys, Danny and Louis and Rafa and catch up, and possibly Thomas as well. Ash Best was the person who got called up into the press conference this week, and he likes the overcut, and we're seeing the overcut right now by the looks of things. He liked it last week, and it didn't work out too well for him last week. Is he not listening to his mistakes? I mean, he's thinking that the overcut could work out well here, but I think it's just a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. But maybe people are using Ash Best's strategies, possibly that they could exploit them a little bit. So I'm a bit worried for Ash Best that he could not do well in this situation. Ash Best didn't respond to the press conference, but you know, it just goes to show it's not the first time Ash Best was doing the overcut. Westy is also that, but they're on the mediums, of course, so of course they won't be doing that. But this could, maybe if they put a few laps time, maybe that could work, but maybe if they went on the softs, it may have been a bit easier for Ash Best, but we'll see anyway.
Yeah, and talking about fastest laps, so we saw Louis Welch. He's just set the fastest lap on the mediums already, beating out Thomas's softs, and that just proves my point, how quickly those softs die out, and obviously the tyre wear from those softs is absolutely massive here. And I'm also going to mention penalties as well. Obviously, it's very easily to get penalised at turn 1. There's also other areas on the track which you can get warnings for as well. This track can be quite high for that turn 1 penalisation, and I heard you were going, oh, there, what's going on? Yeah,
I waited until you were finished speaking because I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was seeing a huge battle between Thomas, Josh, and Rafa as well for potential a net P2 of this race. I mean, if we're going to see three-way battles like we did a few seasons ago, maybe last season as well, we could see it here as well, but with Josh and Thomas into the mix as well. This is going to be absolutely huge for Rafa, because Rafa's going to have DRS, Thomas is not, Josh is going to have DRS too. I mean, we were talking about it earlier, that if you do have DRS, it could help you rather than hinder you, whereas Thomas, I think, is going to get a little bit worried now, but Thomas seems to be pulling away, so that he's trying to get out of the DRS range very, very quickly, so Rafa and Josh can't take advantage of this as well. Look at this, we also got Toxic in there as well. I mean, the train is going to go huge. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1. I think that was a Ferrari. Lakitu, one of the home favourites, is dropped it down to last place. So turn 1 has caught out quite a lot of people.
I think he's just been at that turn, and like I said about turn 1 as well, if it's very difficult to get on the throttle there immediately. A lot of people think it's easy. For some drivers, it can catch them out quite a lot. But obviously, Lakitu, like you said, a home favourite, is maybe get the pressure a bit to him. But however, we're going to just stick with this battle with Thomas right now, though. It's a very big train, but Rafa's not seeming to catch up too desperately right now. But there's also a massive train also for 4th place right now. You've got Cohen in the lead of that. You've got Harry in second place of that train, but obviously now this is the battle for 4th place, not the battle for 2nd. You've also got Ashbess and Westy trading places as well, let's not forget. The Renault and the Racing Point driver doing very well, but they must work together really, in my opinion. I think it's better to work together, because they obviously need to stop, but they also need to get away from Louis because they've all made one pit stops and they've still got to make 2 of them. And speaking about overtaking, we've got Ashbest taking the lead from Westy again. So, like I said, I think that the best thing for those two now is to work together to maybe get as much momentum as they can.
Oh, Cohen just had a slide into turn 6 there, and that's given Larkin a huge advantage there going into turn 7 and 8 and 9. I think, yeah, Larkin's definitely took advantage of that. There he goes. He says, see you later, up into P5. So well done to the McLaren driver. He's doing quite well as well. I was going to tell you about positions gained, but there's no point going through those until everybody has made their first stops, which will probably be in a few laps' time.
Well, yeah, and obviously Cohen's sliding all over the place. His rear end's a bit everywhere at the moment, and maybe that shows to us that maybe we're not far away. And look at it again, his rear end slipping out. He's getting so much of the curb there, and he's starting to struggle a little bit. I'm just wondering, really, this is actually really good for Larkin at the moment, because obviously he's not really had the season of wonder so far. I don't think he's raced in many races, though, but still, he's really proving his new teammate, Ollie Flavel, wrong. And Cohen again,
he's
Cohen's
been
hit.
Oh,
Yeah,
Ollie, speaking of Ollie, that's who he had contact with.
Ollie hit the back of him, but in my opinion, Cohen, his rears were all over the place, and Ollie's still struggling to get back onto the track properly. He finally does so, but in my opinion, there's no real fault to it. It's a racing incident, but Cohen's rear end was really all over the place in that, like, the whole time, and it's still all over the place. I'm wondering if his setup really doesn't favour his tyres, and his tyres just get hot very, very easily. We know the tyre wear is here, but what about the tyre temperatures? You've got to keep them down as well. You've got to keep with it, and I think Cohen's tyres are maybe, they're probably just burning hot right now, and obviously he doesn't want to do that with his tyres, because that means the tyres are going to wear quicker as well. So Cohen is just struggling at the moment, and obviously that's not done. Done Ollie too good. Yep, and he's hit Skeevan as well. Skeevan's not going to be happy with that, and he's got Paris next, and he's hit Paris as well. Cohen's hit Paris as well, and Paris in the wall. Well, not in the wall, but he hit the wall, and he's got wing damage as well, so he's going to have to make the second stop here. And Cohen being a big issue for everyone, and Cohen's still not deciding to pit. He's got so much trouble with those tyres right now. Ollie Favel's pitting with
Paris is out.
Paris is actually retired.
I think he's given up, and Ollie's out as well.
I don't blame him, if I'm honest. Cohen has probably ruined their races, really. I feel really bad for him, because Cohen's rear end's just been all over the place, and Cohen's just not been in it tonight, really, in my opinion. I don't know really what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Cohen, to be honest, but it will be nice, Sam, is we'll get hopefully next game, we can get the nice AWS graphics, so we can see how their tyres are looking, because if I was looking at Cohen's tyres, it will be hot, absolutely hot. I mean, even on the intermediate tyres, the rears, they just warm up so much, and if you overheat them when you go on the braking, you could spin. So maybe his setup and tyre pressure is not best suited, perhaps, and that's what's probably costing him to lose a lot of time. And you know, it could be a talking point with the stewards this week. The stewards, I think, is going to be busy already for the other 2 tiers, but I think it's going to be even more busy with that instance. So you know, if the best thing for Cohen to do is go on a fresh set of mediums, and that could last for quite a bit of the race, and then go on the softs. Meanwhile, we've got Harry and Larkin. They've been having a ding-dong battle for the past couple of laps. Larkin is staying 4th place at the moment. Larkin only joined, I believe, in Singapore, so he's only scored 1 point. He's looking to score more points, and it's looking well in his favour so far. And obviously, Thomas has got past White Fountain on a different strategy, and there he goes up into 7th place as well. I think Rafa and Toxic Tomato are going to do exactly the same thing in the next couple of corners.
Well, I'm just laughing right now, because Louis, who has obviously already made a stop, he's only 4 seconds behind Westy, who's leading this race now. And that just shows how much the mediums favour the softs, really. Like, even after a pit stop, they've already caught up to the leaders, almost, not far away. And like I said, this is why it was so important, but the medium tyres, they look like they don't even go that long either than the soft tyres. And maybe that's also another thing with Cohen as well, but he's lit up the rears, and obviously that's what's caused to what's happened with Cohen. And obviously Louis now on the back of Harry. Has he got the momentum to catch up with him? He's gaining on him, but obviously Harry's going to have the DRS advantage on Larkin. But here comes Louis. Louis going to go down the inside anyway. And despite not having really any advantage difference, really, he had much more momentum. And now Louis is now on the back of Larkin for 4th place here. And maybe he might send it here into this corner. Larkin not using any ERS. Louis is though, and Louis sends it down his inside. And there's no point anyone fighting because Louis Welch is now at the front of this grid. And now Thomas has had to do the same. He had to do something identical in a few laps' time.
But look at that train from Thompson to Marto to Josh.
Oh my word.
That is just insane. Are we going to see a repeat of what I seen a few seasons ago? Because it's looking like it, isn't it? There's White Fountain. Yeah, he's letting the other cars through because obviously he's on a different strategy. White Fountain still yet to pit, of course. So he doesn't want to get in each other's way pretty much. But that's probably held up Josh a little bit. He's now chasing Midnight for 11th place. Josh doing very well as well on those medium tyres. Meanwhile, I did see a battle up front almost, possibly with Danny and Toxic. Danny's got to get past Toxic ASAP because Toxic is closing up maybe to Danny in the standings potentially if Danny doesn't get a good result here at the moment. So going into the hairpin now, Danny's going to go for the right hand side move, and Toxic just had no room, I think, no pace. I think Toxic had to concede P10 and Danny up into 9th. And Danny's next victim is the German of Rafa, the guy that the home crowd has come to see, of course. He wants to see Rafa in the podium, but Danny doesn't. So I wonder how Danny's pace is looking at the moment. We'll have to wait and see if they go past 10, 11 for now. I'm keeping an eye on the gap as well for everybody else. But speaking of Zach, fair play for not being last out of the ones who haven't pitted yet. He's in 3rd at the moment, so he's timed his strategy to perfection. But I don't think Danny's going to get the move on Rafa. Nope, he is not. Let's jump for potentially a battle for the pit stops, pretty much, because you want to be at the front when it comes to your pit stop, surely. So I think Resty, he's got to get the jump soon, hasn't he?
But yeah, I mean, these two have been trading positions all along, really, and I think T1000 Zach as well. He's not far from being in this battle at all. He's sitting right behind these two, actually. And I think Westy got a bit of a poor exit. Went a bit deep into the corner, but he's kept his position. And Ash Best now is just keeping with him. And I'm wondering if these three are just working together to get the most out of their medium tyres, as they will still have to make their first stop, by the way. But obviously we've got the charging Louis Welch behind, obviously. Now he's like 3 seconds clear of Thomas. He's got a clear lead, and it looks like he's on for another victory here, but who knows? He's got these front runners to get by, and one simple mistake from them, as we've seen from Cohen with the hot tyres and everything, one simple mistake from these guys could take him off the track. Obviously, we've seen that. And speaking of drivers going into the pits, we see Westy and Zach going to the pits, but Ash Best does favour to stay out another lap.
Like we said, he likes the overcut on these guys, and Ash Best is doing it, as people pointed out in the drivers' press conference. So, you know, and looks like Louis is going to get the move on Ash Best soon. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, really. And Louis has got to do it soon, otherwise Thomas is going to catch up. Thomas is not far behind these group of cars, and as Louis gets past him, Ash Best, I think, didn't want to challenge him that much, which is great to see. So, let's actually jump on board with Harry and Thomas right now. Thomas gets past Harry for P3, but Harry is having none of that. He's going to try and get the switch back, but he stays behind. I'm a bit worried about Harry's ERS because he was on hot lap for that part of the lap, and obviously if he gets 10% and you use hot lap, you're losing so much power on the engine that it's just no point in running it. You've got to be saving your ERS, really. So that's probably not favoured Harry, but potentially favoured the guys behind her also in these train of cars. And obviously Harry's holding up Danny, Rafa, Toxic. The guys are on this train for quite for most of this race, so you know this could be absolutely intense. And speaking of Harry, he's in the pits.
Yeah, and I just want to mention Ash Best has stayed up for another lap there. That could damage him, you know, because he won't have DRS from after this point, I don't believe. But I just want to mention out of turn 2 on the last lap, Louis' exit out of turn 2, it was something I've never seen. It was such an amazing exit, I'm not going to lie. And that's why he closed in like 2/10 from literally just the exit of that corner. And that's why he really got the overtake done on Ashbest so simply, because of that exit alone. It was such a superb entry and exit into the corner, just hugged the inside line, and then just got a brilliant exit as well. I also just want to mention Danny. What a race to redemption that Danny's having right now. And in fact, it may even get better here. He might even move up to second place soon. But obviously, starting P8. He had a bit of a slow start, didn't he? Really, in the first lap or two. But now he sees himself up to third place and into fourth place at the moment. But Ashpest obviously still to pit. But obviously up to third place, which would be third place once Ash does decide to pit, which I believe is now. And obviously now challenging Thomas for that second place spot, and obviously Rafa behind as well. Like you said, one of his favourite tracks is home track. In fact, maybe he's just sitting behind a little while, just waiting for the right opportunity to close back in.
Yeah, Ash Best is pitting now, and Josh is pitting as well. And that's another set of meetings for Ash Best. Now, where is he going to come out in comparison to his rivals he was battling earlier on? And Westy jumps him. Westy jumps him in the undercut. So the undercut has worked for Ash Best, for Westy even. So once again, it is definitely not paid off for Ash Best, the overcut. I think he should have pitted at the same time as Westy, and then he would have definitely been ahead. But he's lost 1 second, even 2 seconds, but Westy now. They were 3/10 in that battle. I mean, you know, that it's gone back to biting for Ash Best, and he's in danger of losing quite a few positions soon if he's not careful. I mean, you know, that is not good for him, but very good for Westy.
Yeah, well, I mean, Westy had to pit in earlier, of course, and Westy's got a little bit of a dilemma here because the tyres on the softs just do not go the laps. But although Ash Best is behind, he's on the fresher tyres now, and I think he will now try to close in on Westy. But also, like you said, of course, it's a bit of a nuisance for Ash because he had it really all to lose. He really should have pitted when Zach and Westy did, and he would have been out ahead of the two and just gone from there. But he's chose to go in 2 laps later, and not going to lie, this favours a medium soft strategy because he was able to take those mediums for 15 laps, I believe it was. He can take it for another 15 if he wanted to, and then go on to the softs for 4 laps at the end there. I think that could work a treat for him, especially in this battle for what looks like to be 8th place for them towards the end. I'm very, very, very intrigued to see when these guys at the front, though, pit for their second stop, and also what tyres they'll go on as well, because obviously Louis now on 14 lap hold mediums, but also Danny and Rafa, who obviously went into the pits basically in the first lap. These two have now got 15 lap hold mediums, and obviously they need to go on to another set of mediums or go on to the hards. But surely it's going to be another medium favour. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I think so as well. The optimum pace for the mediums is around about 15, 16 laps. So for some of these guys, they need to get the jump now. And Danny has he done the masterclass of dreams? He's pitted before everybody else. Rafa's in as well, so it's
Midnight's in. This could be very, very interesting then to see how these 3 guys do it.
Oh, Danny's got held up a bit. Danny's got held up a bit. So that might, because Rafa, don't forget, is in the Williams, and Rafa's jumped him, I think. Yes, he has.
And Josh, I just want to mention Josh right now. By the way, he has not actually made. He's made his 2 stops, and look at him. He's now side by side with Danny. He's made his 2 stops, Josh, and Josh will now have to go to the end. He'll have to nurse those medium tyres, but almost coming out ahead of that whole train and beating Midnight out as well. But like you said, Rafa's jumped him, and Rafa's now going to get past Harry, and up to 9th place goes Rafa now, and now Danny will have to do the same very, very quickly if he wants to keep in Rafa's grasp. And look at the exit. It's not an amazing one, really.
No, but it's not really. But you know, it's nice to see this race really evolving on strategy in a way as well, because we think that sometimes we think the undercut works, sometimes we think that the overcut works. It's just never ending. For some of these drivers, it's absolutely different, and it also depends on what strategy you guys go on to. So obviously, Josh almost I think Josh could just about nurse these tyres to the end, or he could go for soft for the fastest lap, but we could see a potential move here as we've got Thomas, Toxic Tomato and Skeven. They're pitting. Louis is staying out, but knowing Louis, he can nurse those tyres. Oh, there's a bit of a touch from Danny and Harry there. That's not worked out well. We've got Josh in the mix as well, as he touched him again, going into the tricky chicane coming up here. Let's see, Danny's got DRS, so I think Harry's lost DRS. Yes, he has. So it's going to be a sweeping move from Danny, maybe. Yes, it is. We've also got Rafa and Larkin. And Rafa's got
Josh
him.
Down the inside. Josh down the inside as well. He got him as well. That has not done Danny any favours, I must say. He's now 1.3 seconds behind Thomas. Remember, he was right on the back of Thomas, and Thomas and Rafa making the moves they need. And now Danny is separated by one car again. And obviously going to the stadium section as well. If he doesn't get Larkin at turn 6 next lap, if he doesn't get him next lap, then that obviously hurts him even more. Because that sector 2 and sector 3 is very difficult to overtake at points. So he must get past the McLaren driver next lap on turn 6. Otherwise it could actually be really bad for Danny, who's losing a lot of time to Thomas and Rafa, who've got their moves done nice and early. And Danny's just been stuck behind Harry. And it's not favouring him well. Talking about some certain Louis Welch right now. He's just come out onto the track. He's slotted himself behind Westy and Team 1000 Sacks, separating him and Ash Best at the moment. Sorry, Westy and Ash Best, I mean. However, this is not good for Louis, by the way. If he doesn't get past Westy here, it looks like he will do. But he needed to get back into the lead without any traffic, which is not what he's done. And Ash Best down the inside as well. And them two are going side by side at it now. And you know what? Ash Best has got the move done as well. So following Louis Welch there, Ash Best has got the move done on Westy. Is Westy going to think about it? He did for a little while, but he slots behind Ash Best and thinks better. But oh my word, there's a lot of battles going on all across the track.
We're starting to lose count on how many battles we've got. But Ash Best, what a move. I mean, he looks so committed there. And he's got back ahead of Westy now. So maybe the fresher tyres has definitely helped him, as you said, earlier on as well. So Louis has come obviously ahead of most of these guys. All he's got to worry about is that now. And then he'll probably be ahead of him anyway. So obviously Louis, Rafa, Thomas, Danny, Josh, Toxic, Midnight, Skivan and Lakitu, they made their 2 stops, so they don't have to pit again. But for some of these guys, they may have to pit one more time for if their tyres don't last very long. But we shall see on that one. But this is just getting so intense to watch. This reminds me of most German races in real life, I must say. I'm gutted it's off the calendar this season because it's one of the best races on the calendar as Louis gets past that quite convincingly as well. But don't forget, there's still a battle for position between Dak and Ash Best. And obviously Thomas and Rafa. Thomas has got I think he's going to get the move stick on Rafa. Yes, he does, on the inside into turn 7 and 8. And there we go. Thomas has done it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say something now. They mustn't battle for too long because you got a Mercedes just behind that is angry and obviously needs that position to keep in the championship. We've got Louis Welch benefiting so much right now, but obviously you've got Thomas and Rafa. They've got to work together, in my opinion, and they must make sure that Danny doesn't get by if they want to get a podium, because obviously you're fighting for a podium here. All these 3 are technically, because the top 3 currently, excluding Louis, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, they still haven't got to make their 2nd pit stop, and they're not going to come out ahead of him unless obviously a safety car or some sort of thing like that. So very interesting strategy coming into the end of this, but Danny, Rafa and Thomas, they'll have to work together to catch Louis Welch, but Thomas and Rafa, I suspect, to work together to get away from Danny, and that's not going to work anyway, because look at this, Danny's now right on the back of Rafa. Rafa's keeping position for now, but looking at Danny, Danny looks like he's confident into the corner, around the outside, braking way later there, and on the outside line you got Rafa, he's literally holding the track there, he squeezed Danny off, telling Danny, you're not going to make a move anywhere around this corner. You'll have to wait for another lap. So this is only helping Thomas out, by the way, as well. These two battling like that. They must work together to catch up and keep up with Thomas now. So it's all about working together, really, even if they're not teammates. And then obviously go for a right at the end for the podium. So it looks to be quite a blast to the line for all these 3 drivers. But For Louis, it's just basically been overtake. I wouldn't say the back markers, but it's been overtake the...
Tox has gone off. He's gone off a little bit in the gravel. He was in that DRS train for a little bit, but not anymore. That's probably cost him a chance of possibly getting some crucial points. Don't forget Harry's yet to do his second stop. Neither has Larkin as well. So technically, there's a battle between Josh and Midnight happening right now as well that could transpire pretty much as well. I mean, it's hard to decide on which DRS train to follow pretty much, but there's quite a lot around here, so we'll keep an eye as much as we can as well. Don't forget, these guys can possibly win for some of these guys, even Danny or Louis, they could possibly win a next level racing stand if they're champions. So the stakes on the line there, as here comes Midnight on Larkin. He's going to dive it in, and he's got the job done. He says, see you later. Another position gained for him. That's up into 9th place now. His next target is Josh. Josh, I believe, is on older tyres compared to Midnight. Yes, he is on 2 lap older tyres. So that's probably come back to bite Josh. And knowing Midnight will probably be saving the tyres for a bit. And he's going to be pushing now. Let's see what the ERS on Josh is. Oh, Josh, he's only on 13%. And like I said earlier, the less ERS you have, the less power you got. So that's probably going to favour Midnight, the move going into turn 1. Or possibly even to the hairpin coming up.
I think Midnight's job now is just to close in these next 2 DRS zones. He's got the chance to on these DRS straights. And look at how much he's closed in. Now he's just got to focus really on the exit here, on the entry. Just don't worry about it too much. Just get a really good exit, and he's done that again. I saw it with Larkin. Larkin's was a little bit better there, but I think Midnight knows anyway that he's going to get the move done on Josh, and Josh has no real right to fight and defend that, really. Because Midnight's always going to win that battle. Figure the battles though. Look at these 3 right ahead of him. Thomas, Rafa, and Danny's got past both of them, you know, on that zone. I didn't even realise that. I just saw positions moving, and I just saw Rafa and Thomas. Thomas has actually... It's all been switched around, you know. Rafa stayed 6th, Danny's moved up to 5th, and Thomas has gone to 7th. So they're basically just all switched around. That's really fun to see, and I'm just wondering... what Rafa will do in return and what Thomas could do in return as well. Because obviously now they'll have the DRS and now Danny will be the one fighting. And obviously, like I said, like the DRS straights on these 2, they support that driver in that 2nd place of the train so much. And Danny doesn't even have the DRS, and if he doesn't, he may have it here, you know, though. Doesn't have it here. Does he have it?
Oh, it's close. It's close. He needs to find a 10th. He's finding 10th.
Oh,
no, he's not.
He's missed out, and now Rafa's got a huge opportunity here to get back past Danny for 5th place, and is Thomas going to follow in suit? It looks like it's a bit far behind. Here comes Rafa, though. Danny defending the inside line. I don't think Rafa's going to get it here. Is he going to get the switch back on the exit? Needs good traction on the exit for that. And no, he doesn't, and Danny keeps 5th place there. But very good fighting there from Rafa. And very good defending as well from Danny there. Very thoughtful to make sure that Rafa doesn't get by there. And obviously Danny keeping in 5th place. And Thomas just lurking behind a little bit. Maybe waiting for a mistake or something. But obviously this is a podium to play for. And all 3 of them are absolutely gunning for it right now.
This is absolutely insane. Rafa must be loving this right now. Hopefully he can keep this battle up going soon as well.
Danny!
What happened?
I got a really awkward camera angle. It gave me a heart attack. I went, one of the curb angles. I got Danny going through there. He got a little bit of wheel spin on the exit of the corner. I thought he spun the car, and I don't think he did anyway. But look at that, he's done it again at the exit of turn 1. He got a little bit edgy on the rear end there. So Danny's tyres start to heat up a little bit, and that obviously might be down to this battling a little bit. But I'm just wondering now what Rafa's going to do. Is he going to come straight back at Danny? Danny has DRS, so. This time, so I don't think Rafa's going to come at him. So Westy obviously probably not quick enough to keep Danny out of the DRS, but obviously he's tried. Look at the battle just ahead of him as well. Timon Faust and Zach goes around the outside of Ash Best, by the way, for that 2nd place, but that 2nd place is going to go soon. These 3 drivers need to be thinking about what their next tyre is. Pretty sure they're going to go onto the soft for a final stint.
Yeah, they do. They have to. They've got to, because they started on the mediums, Zach and Ash Best, and even Westy as well. So if they don't go on the softs, then they're going to be a huge disadvantage. Because the other tyre they've got on offer is the hards. So It's either the softs or they get disqualified. End of. So, you know, you don't want that. The game's disqualify you, of course. But, you know, they're just waiting for the right moment. Obviously, they may want to get fastest lap as well, because don't forget, you will get a point if you're inside the top 10 and get the fastest lap point, and also for a point for the fastest lap outside the top 10. So, they're probably going to wait for the latest opportunity, but the undercut or the overcut might not work for them. We'll have to wait and see. It's just, I think Midnight's going to be under pressure soon. Literally almost everybody is either attacking or defending right now, except for one man, Louis.
Of course it had to be Louis, didn't it? The championship leader, the man who had dominated one of last year and dominated this year. Westy looking for him there on Zach, didn't go for it then, but I tell you one thing this doesn't help is this battle for 5th place. They're all in a train right now, which means basically it's just the momentum out of the corner really that they get, and all of them are going to have DRS. It's going to be the momentum out of that second corner, and I'm sure these guys are all thinking, except from obviously Zach of course, they're all thinking about momentum of the exit of that corner and getting a good exit out of that corner and then flying it down to get past their opponents. But this is not good for Danny. He's stuck behind drivers who he would suppose be in his way because they're on older tyres, and obviously he should be pitting in the next couple of laps as well. It doesn't favour him a lot, and I'm just waiting to see what Danny can do. Rafa as well, and Thomas as well. All of these three are battling for a podium, and right now this DRS train is just not really helping them at all. They just all in the way there, and Ashbest really closing up the grid. It's all about the exit here, and I think Danny may get Westy here, you know, which is not good for the battle behind, and Danny closing in, and so is Zach as well. Watch out for Zach as well, going on the inside to Ashbest, and you know what, Westy's pulled out of it, making sure that Danny can, well, saying that Danny can get through. I think also Rafa's hit the back of Danny, and look at Danny already looking for a move on Zach as well, right behind him, so this would be good for Danny if he can get the move done. Down the inside, a huge locker from Ashbest as well, at the front of this as well. These two go side by side. However, look at this, the switch back, and Zach almost loses the car there. A little bit of wheel spin on the exit, but it looks like Danny's got the move done, and this has not favoured Rafa at all. Look how desperate he is, almost just trying to find a single way to get through on Westy there, and the desperacy will now kick in for both Rafa and Thomas for the second place, and especially for these two as well if they just want to get a podium. Westy's hit Rafa. Westy's hit Rafa. I think that again that's similar to the Cohen incident. Oh my word!
He's hit Toxic Tomato.
Has he?
Yeah, he just hit him. I think. I was one of the Red Bulls. I wasn't sure what it was.
No, he's just missed him. It was Toxic Tomato. I can confirm, but he's just missed him. But oh, that was a close one there. But like I said, in my opinion, you know, you can't really fault Westy. Westy was coming into the pits. He was slow on the exit of the corner, and I just said about Rafa how desperate he was to get by. In my opinion, I think that just showed the desperacy really, but I can't really give any driver at fault because obviously we don't really know both sides of the story, because you could argue saying that really Westy had to go that slow to get into the pit lane, because obviously if he didn't, then he'll miss the pit lane and probably get a penalty for it. But like I said, it's just unfortunate for Rafa, because now Rafa is no longer fighting for a podium, and it kind of saturates this big battle.
And he's got a
behind,
penalty. And his home Grand Prix as well. Things have turned upside down. It started well, and then it turned upside down for him. I think it's just one example of a commentator's curse. So Rafa, if you're watching this back, we're sorry. We didn't mean it, I promise. And Cohen's out. And where did Cohen bin it? I think it was pit lane.
Nah,
probably.
he's pitted, yeah.
Yeah,
he's gone into the pits to retire.
Yeah, that is a shame for Cohen, of course, but he was struggling the whole race, of course. And that means that he's not going to take any further part of this race. Ashbest, he's doing his 2-stop as well. He's done his final stop. He's on the soft as well, and he's chasing down Zach as well, who has jumped in the pit lane, which is great to see from Zach. Fair play from Zach. After starting last, he's potentially going to be in a points-paying position, so well done to him right now, as we keep getting a yellow flag into turn 1 and 2, but with Larkin in this as well with Rafa. I think Rafa seems to be struggling even more. Don't forget, Larkin is on the hard compounded tyres, don't forget. I think he pitted, I can't remember when he pitted actually. I do believe he's done the 2 stops. No, he hasn't. He hasn't done 2 stops. He's the only driver yet to pit. Now, surely he must be struggling on those hards, but it doesn't look like he is because he's catching up between these two on Rafa and Toxic Tomato. I mean, Rafa, I think, was planning to pit in a few laps' time, but obviously he has to give way at some point so he can fight for these. Luckily, Larkin does pit as I say that on cue, so luckily no one will be disqualified from this race. I was getting a bit of a panic attack there, but he's going on to the softs now. He's going to jump way out the order, but at least he's going to have an advantage of getting a point for the fastest lap, which I think that's what he's aiming for right now for the time being. A few laps to go, and the trade is starting to decrease at the moment, but here comes Rafa on Toxic Tomato then. Toxic on those hards. This should be easy picking for Rafa, and yes, he does on those, obviously, softer tyres, and he's up into 6th place for the time being. But what could have been for Rafa, of course? We're seeing more penalties. Scott Bugner's got a penalty, and I think we've seen Paris getting a few penalties, but he's obviously out of the race so far. Ollie's out of the race too, and Cohen as well. Louis, the gap between him and Danny, 10 seconds already, and we're seeing the gap starting to close in between Thomas and Danny for the 2nd place spot.
Although I just saw there Thomas struggling on the tyres a bit, and obviously this is going to be custom towards the end. Drivers starting to struggle a little bit on the tyres. Midnight in 4th place right now. We've not really seen much of Midnight, but he's been in a battle with Josh. We haven't really talked about it a lot, and this seems to be one of the closest battles of them all, really. And Midnight, out of that exit at turn 1, just got a superb exit, and this is why Josh has probably not been able to overtake Midnight. He's just been consistent, really. And we will see now whether Josh can overtake. But look, he's now 6 tenths behind. So it looks really unlikely for an overtake here. Thomas closing in on Danny as well. But look at Josh. Josh just not able to close in on Midnight. He's only got 2 more laps to go after this to get the move done. We've got Toxic Tomato going down the inside of Rafa again. And even with him on the hard tyres, Rafa on the mediums, Rafa has fell a victim really to Toxic, well, not victim, but you know the word what I mean really, and a big lock up there from Toxic Tomato just after that. But on the hard tyres, he's overtaken Rafa on the mediums, which still look to be running fine, but obviously he did have that spin, and that obviously has weared his tyres out quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's probably hindered him a little bit as well, and as you can see, Rafa's tyres is getting quite hot as well. But I think for him, there's no point in pitting now because he's done the 2 stops. Everyone has done the 2 stops. The only one that's done more than 2 stops is Skivan with 3, and he's down in 13th. So he's got nothing to lose. So he's got to worry about that though behind though, who's obviously pitted quite recently, and he's on a softer tyre. So he must be feeling a little bit under pressure as well. He doesn't want to lose many more positions right now as we're on the penultimate lap of this race as Louis leads by 11 seconds. We've got Thomas, Midnight, then Josh. I mean, we've got Rafa going past Toxic Tomato again, going into the hairpin, and he gets the job done up into 6th place. So that's one less car for Rafa to worry about soon, unless Toxic can start to breathe down his neck in the final moment of these laps. And obviously Zach as well, he's hunting down. He wants that fastest at that point, and also he wants to possibly get P7 or 6. Please bear in mind though, we don't know about the penalties of these drivers, so we don't know if they gain time or lose time due to the penalties. And there was one question in the pre-race interviews. Some of the drivers were hoping that people could gain penalties so they can gain positions. But we don't know. I mean, of other drivers to gain penalties, sorry. So the driver in question could possibly gain the most out of it. We'll have to wait and see. So we're on the final lap now as I think Louis has got this in the bag.
Yeah, he definitely has got this in the bag. There's no question about it. Thomas has not got the exit he needed, and I think Danny now is probably going to get this 2nd place, but Thomas didn't get the exit he needed. I will look, though. He's coming at him. He's coming at him, you know, and he has fallen back. So Thomas probably just relying on the exit here. You can overtake it. That'll be one or two more places. But Thomas not looking as aggressive as I thought. Midnight and Josh, however, side by side.
Oh,
Midnight,
my goodness.
cut his wheel with him. Around the outside, Josh went, and around the outside, Josh got the position. Midnight is probably going to have to replicate that. A bit of a lock up there. Very close between these two, and Midnight now has the inside line. Louis is going to win this race anyway as he comes around the final corner. And obviously, congratulations to him. A big race, but we didn't really see any of him really. But it looks like Midnight onto the gravel there, and now Josh still going side by side with him. Obviously, congratulations to Louis, but this battle's still not over right now. Josh still going for it, and Midnight's got a poor exit as well. Look at Josh, and Josh has backed out. Has Midnight got the position? It looks like he has, but penalties could play toy to his victory there. Midnight finishes 4th place there. Danny 3rd, Thomas in 2nd, so Danny did pick up more penalties there. But oh my word, that ending there, Midnight went onto the gravel as Josh pushed it right to the line really, and then backed out right at the end there. Midnight gets that 4th place in the end, but Louis Welch, of course, winning this race in the Williams. Let's not forget, an absolute dominant victory again from the Williams driver, and the Williams team as well looked on for an absolute masterclass, maybe even a 1-2 in fact. But obviously what happened to Rafa unfortunately spoiled all that. Thomas getting P2, a pretty good result, start at P2 and ends the race in P2. Danny all the way up to P3, that is a really good result for Danny really, but obviously not for his championship hopes, but considering he started P8, that's a very good result. And look how, if you look at on them right now, those tyres are absolutely done at the end there, as it looked like on the screen.
What a race for these drivers. The Pinnacle drivers did not disappoint. It was brilliant stuff. And here we go. We got Brendan Lee on the podium, but it's not Brendan Lee. It's Louis. So a quick update on the fastest laps as well. Ski Van got a fastest lap point for being out for the fastest lap outside the top 10, so he gets a point. And T1000 Zach, he got the fastest lap inside the top 10. So those fastest lap points go to those two. So there's your podium then of Danny, Louis and Thomas. So Thomas's best result actually so far is his first point of the season. He'll be pleased with that. So here are your unofficial results here for the Pinnacle tier this evening. Louis takes the win. Then Thomas in 2nd, Danny in 3rd. Midnight, a great result in 4th. Josh in 5th. But I've got to say, Zach, from P19 to P6, to come all over that and having great battling, and get an extra point for fastest lap, and no penalties as well. That is brilliant from him, so good job. Rafa, what a disappointing end for his race in P7. Ash Best in 8th, then we got Toxic, then Westy, and then we got Larkin, Harry, Skivan, Bugner, White Fountain, Lakitu, and then your non-finishers are Cohen, Ollie, and Paris. Now, before we end up the stream, we've got to do one last important thing. Sam, who is your driver of the day?
I mean, obviously you were mentioning Zach. I've got to give Zach it really. I don't mean to steal it from you, but obviously P19 to I believe it was P7. I've completely lost my memory of what it was where he finished. But however, even with the position, it was the fact that he got no penalties as well. He kept a fully clean race. He didn't extend the track to such an extent to get penalties or anything. He didn't use any cheats to get past people or anything. He just had a pure driver's race and really raced it to the line. And in my opinion, he's a clear winner for me because obviously P19 to P7, and not only that, the fastest lap as well, and obviously strategy plays involvement in it as well. And it was a brilliant drive for Zach, even from the start, to get himself all the way up from P19. I think it was like what would have been P12, but obviously pit stops. Sorry, P13. Sorry, but because of pit stops. But it was an meteoric rise at the start, and then obviously to clinch P7 as well at the end there with the fastest lap. It just showed that he had a really good race today, and he kind of deserves it because he just kept it in there.
He kind of stole my direct driver of the day because I was going to choose him as well. What an astonishing performance from him. I shouldn't have asked you first. I should have done with mine, but there we go. But I'm torn between two people. We've got obviously Thomas with his points finish, first point finish in P2. But obviously, it's a tough one. But I've got to say, no one. He was dominant all race. I mean, he was having he was 10 seconds away from everybody else, and his pace was second to none. So I'll have to give it to the race winner. I'll have to give it to Louis. I mean, I know it may be boring for some of you guys, but I was close to giving it to Thomas, but Louis was just on another level tonight, and that's really going to help him with his championship hopes. Another win in his back pocket. Unfortunately, he did not get fastest lap, but it's the first time he actually won the race without fastest lap, but it doesn't matter for him. Another win anyways. His fourth win of the season. We got a maximum of 75 points, I think, for left after this one. So obviously they can't win the championship here, in the next few races, but Louis is with a good shot of defending his title, really, so it's got to go to him, really. Don't forget to give our sponsor quick a look over. Next Level Racing, they provide basically stands for our championship winners from each of the tiers, and obviously provide great products as well. So if you want to check them out, go and check them out on Twitter, Next LVR Racing. They do so much for us as well, and obviously they provide great equipment for all of the drivers as well. So thank you very much to Next Level Racing. So that is it for the Pinnacle tier. What a great race it's been. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully Alex will be back in the commentary box next week, but thank you, Sam, for joining me in the commentary box. That's so little notice, I've got to say. It has been fun for you?
Yeah, it's been very fun. Thank you very much. The race is very thrilling, and obviously the comms as well. It comes as a package, really, doesn't it? So it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely. And make sure you join Alex and the Pinnacle tier, and all the other tiers actually, next week, where we go to the lovely Belgium in Spa, and it is going to be quite interesting. Track corners such as El Rouge, Radion, and the two stops are going to make it very, very intriguing. But enough about that, more about that next week. I've been Jess Gamer 95. Sam has been EVR_Sam, and we will see you next week for some more One Hub Racing action. Well, my English tonight. Anyway, have a good evening, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.